So, Rikki, is that it for this woman? Could she potentially face any other charges?
I don't see her facing any other charges. Anything in life is possible, but you know, you're dealing with the issue of double jeopardy. She has been acquitted. I don't know if the state would try to indict her upon some other kind of crime besides these two charges, which would be, of course, obstruction of justice and providing material aid to a terrorist organization, which she has been acquitted of. One of the things, Emery, that I wanted to add is that we've learned, that as society has learned, particularly by the work of the Innocence Project, which works with the issue of DNA exonerations, that the vast majority of exonerations for someone who has confessed falsely. So false confessions are number one for the evidence that goes in against a person, and later that person is exonerated by DNA, followed by wrong identification. So when you look at someone of her lack of intelligence and the type of life she led, with 11 hours of interrogation, you can understand why a jury might be troubled. And we also have to remember that people forget is that a verdict of not guilty does not mean innocent. Not guilty means not proven guilty. And that's an important lesson to learn. And perhaps that may give some solace to people who were really looking for her conviction. You know, these types of cases will come out and headlines will say that Noor Salman found innocent. That is not true. She was found not guilty or not proven guilty.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a really important thing to bring up. I think when shootings like this happen, and particularly when the perpetrator does not survive, we look for someone else to place blame on, someone else who may have contributed to this situation. It's very difficult to have that many people die and never sort of receive any justice for it. In this case, it certainly seems as if, or at least the jury, you know, came to the conclusion that her confession was coerced. But, you know, we even saw during the Las Vegas shooting, people wanted to know about that man's girlfriend and what did she know and what did she not know? How could you possibly live with somebody who's planning something like this and not be aware and not be guilty in some way? And, you know, that's the case. In this case, she's at least not guilty of being a co-conspirator, and that is as good as we're going to get from this.
Well, that's right, and we can look at the types of evidence that the government had tried in earnest. Same types of things when you're dealing with the Tsarnaev brothers up in the Boston Marathon bombing. There was certainly talk when we go back to the Aurora movie shooting about trying to tag the therapist who should have known, that there is a need or a desire on the part of society that says someone should be punished for these terrible deeds. When someone commits a mass shooting like this was one of the worst in history, and unfortunately they just keep getting worse. And that what we find here is the need, as you say, to find justice, and also there is a feeling that you just want somebody to pay for something so awful. But you had the prosecution can only go with what it's got. If you've got enough evidence in quality and quantity, the prosecution should win. If you don't, then it's not proven guilty and the jury should acquit. And that is the system of American justice. And that's why I think that many of us believe in the jury system, even when we disagree with the verdict.
Indeed. Rikki Kleiman, thanks a lot. The chief of police for Orlando, Chief John Mina, issued a statement. His statement says, "I believe in our criminal justice system, and I'm grateful for the jury's hard work." I think someone's speaking here in Orlando. Let's take a listen.
A.L. is his first name. He's the uncle of Noor and has filled in as her father figure after her father passed away. This is his brother, her uncle Sam Salman, S-A-L-M-A-N, Sam, like the regular spelling. This is Susan Adia, A-D-I-E-H. This is her cousin, who she thinks of as her aunt.
Al,
everybody ready?
A year ago in California, you said she did not do this.
I know, and I told you, I'm going to tell you now that she's innocent.
You got to tell me how this feels.
Okay, I give a chance first. I get you.
We're just trying to be composed here. So on this Good Friday, the family really wants to very first say that we're very sorry for the family members and friends of the 49 victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting, and also the survivors of that horrible attack. Really, that is the top most important thing the family wants you all to know, irregardless of their happiness today at the verdict. We also want to thank the amazing pro bono criminal defense team, Linda Moreno, Charles Swift, and their staff, who have been here and have worked so hard for 2 years for no pay. We really want to thank them and their organizations, their hard work and their passion and their real sincere belief the entire time that she was innocent. I mean, they weren't doing this as a job. They were doing this because they really believed in her innocence. And we want to say thank you to Judge Paul Byron for being fair and taking on this very difficult case. He could have sent it to another district. He must have believed, and clearly he was right, that the citizens of Orange County, Orlando, and the Middle District of Florida could come to a fair and just verdict. We especially want to thank the jurors, all 18 of them, the 12 and the 6 alternates, for sitting through the testimony and sacrificing their lives for the last month to sit on this case. It was very difficult for them, we know. They asked a lot of questions. They went through the evidence. They deliberated for a long time. We are so grateful to them, so grateful for their verdict today. The family is elated. Noor can go home now to her son, Zach, resume her life, and try to pick up the pieces from 2 years in jail. We really hope the best for her future, and we want people to know that she is not guilty. She is innocent. For those people who still think that there's a question, there is no question. A judge has decided. I want to let Al make a few comments.
Well, happy Friday. It's Good Friday. It's Good Friday for everybody. It's Holy Friday for Muslim and Good Friday for Christian. And I want to say thank you, Lord, for getting my niece free. And I want to thank the judge, the jury, and our wonderful staff, the attorneys, Swift, Linda, and Fritz. I want to thank them all. And now we looking forward to take my niece and hire the best therapist for her. I don't know how she's going to make up for the last 2 years.
Al, you were inside the courtroom. You saw your niece turn around. Noor Salman turned around after that verdict was read. Everyone was crying. What was the feeling there? It was a lot of emotion.
That's you're going to go back to your son. Now that's the only thing she have in her life, her son. That's all she wants.
So, how did you feel when you heard the verdict?
That's the best moment for me. I say that day one, that she is innocent, and I will stand here in front of you when the jury come up with the verdict to tell you, I told you so, and now I came here to tell you, I told you so, she's innocent. When I believe she's innocent, she's innocent. We stood by her, and that's what she is.
How do you feel about the American justice system?
I say that in California. I believe in justice. You know, no matter what day it's going to come up with the justice, we have a good justice here. We're going to protect our justice, the system we have. As long as we protected the people here, protected our justice, we're fine. All of us be fine.
I'd like to let Sam and Susie say a few words. No, he doesn't want to. We also don't want to forget Fritz Scheller, the local counsel on the case. He really worked hard on all the motions, and he was amazing in his cross-examination. You want to say a few words?
I want to thank everyone, and especially the juries as well, and the judge and our lawyers. And we knew from day one she was innocent, and thank God it came out.
Do you guys know how she'll be released? Is she going to come here?
No, we don't know.
Back? You don't know?
We don't know.
Is she going to get to color Easter eggs like you told us?
We're
yesterday?
hoping.
You're
We're
gonna see
hoping.
it. I'm gonna put it in Facebook with all the eggs, and it's gonna be colored. It's not the black color, the one I saw in the YouTube. It's gonna be a rainbow.
Wonderful rainbow colors.
Have you booked tickets yet to go back to California?
Only in courtroom.
We don't want to really talk about travel right now.
We don't know what's going to happen.
We just want to get them to a place where they can see her and you know, hug her and hold her. And we thank you all for being here. Your fair and impartial coverage. Really appreciate you guys being here and working so hard.
And I'm gonna get back to my work. I called to tell them. They told me we know.
Yes.
They already know.
They already know.
Especially with the family she got.
Her son knows that she's
Yeah,
coming out.
right.
Susan,
Yes. Yes.
you're here every day, and I know you're elated right now, but do you have anything to say to the families of the Pulse victims?
Yeah.
I feel so bad for them, and I lost a child. I know how it feels. So no matter what's going to happen between Noor being guilty or non-guilty is not going to bring them back. But at the same time, we can't commit another innocent person as well, part of all this. She'd been innocent from day one.
The family always thought that
Back to a normal life
the
after
family
this?
always
We're
thought that
hoping.
Noor was the first victim of Omar Mateen,
Yes.
and she's not the last. She's well, she's the last for 2 years, but you know. All right, you
So I
guys,
don't know
we're
how
gonna
she's
we're gonna
make
get
it
them
2
out.
years now.
And thank you all.
Susan, do you know how and when Noor will be released?
No,
We're not talking about her travel right now.
we don't know yet.
Yeah.
You don't want my butt in your face?
The defense is upstairs talking to Noor now, so they will be downstairs shortly after that occurs.
So we've just been listening to some family members of Noor Salman, and as well as an attorney expressing their elation that she has been found not guilty of providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization and obstruction of justice, being accused of helping her husband, Omar Mateen, commit a massacre at the Pulse nightclub. But she spent 2 years in jail. Rikki Kleiman's still on the phone with us. Rikki, 2 years in jail just awaiting this trial.
Well, the problem, of course, that we always understand is that certain things cannot be avoided. She can never get those 2 years back. At the same time, one cannot expect when you are indicted for providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization that somebody is going to let you walk free pending trial. You're clearly a flight risk and a security risk based on the allegations of the indictment itself. So the fact that the jury acquitted, and as I said before we went to the press conference, Anne-Marie, I understand the lawyers and family saying she's innocent,
Right.
She was always innocent, but the verdict is not innocent. The verdict is not proven guilty. And the government and the courts cannot be blamed for having her in pretrial detention, as we would call it, that is, being held in prison for 2 years. It is just part of the system. I think that the system would be highly criticized if you had someone with these charges who was put on bail. So, you know, we have to accept that the system itself, as good as it is, has limitations on both sides.
Indeed. You know, we were talking about the fact that there is always a search for some sort of justice when a shooter, a perpetrator in a case like this ends up dying, and there is no justice really. In this case, the prosecution believed that they had a solid confession. The jury did not buy that. But in some other cases, like you mentioned, the Boston bombers, the wife in that case, the Las Vegas shooter, his girlfriend, these women all said that they knew nothing about the plan. How difficult is a case like this to prove? I mean, just because you live with someone who declares a certain philosophical point of view and watches videos and perhaps collects weapons doesn't mean that you know that they may be planning something disastrous. This has got to be a tough sort of case to prove without a confession.
I I think it is a difficult case to prove without a confession, and of course the government here believed that it had a good case because it had a good confession.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the factors that was mentioned in our conversation earlier with Manuel was the fact that one of the problems with this confession is she confesses that she had been in the car and that they had cased the Pulse nightclub. So what do they find but that her cell phone pings, as well as the GPS, shows that the car never went anywhere near the Pulse nightclub. So you had an objective fact based on what we consider reasonable science. That is, in today's courtrooms, that is, what does a cell phone show, and that what does GPS show, that showed that the confession was false. So what is the government to do?
All right, Rikki Kleiman, thank you so much for talking to us through this.